Yeah, it's interesting listening to those different views about integrity, and I think in a collaborative culture or a collaborative community is something that we're creating together, we're evolving together. And going back to what Mark said about it, is like, because I've got my concerns about the way that went. That's why I looked a bit like, But to me, we started somewhere. We started with context, and this is not where we started. If you go on the current website and you look at the print we've got, what we started with, Jill and I, three and a half years ago, is what's written down over there. These are new ideas we're bringing to, not new, some of them have been around a while. But essentially it's about engagement. Because we're all at different levels, all got different experiences, we've all got kind of insight. You know, I'm German, I'm on time. Yeah, alright, somewhere. But you know, I won't hold it against you. I love German cars, so I have to.
I'm not normally on time.
But the idea is that as a community, we are indulging a bit. You know, and I've been criticised for indulging in terms of the genius slots or known slots, because I want to engage you, or us. We engage each other from what we feel is important and share that and challenge each other. So we walk out of the room, something may stick, but in your next meeting or your next opportunity or your next argument or friction conversation, something from here today will have lived on and influenced you, and to produce a result you may not have produced previously. And that is something one of the things that we talk about is that imagine you're having a fantastic picnic and you're all invited and you bring your best dish. You know, whatever that dish is, and you may bring different dishes. And the genius slot and the known slots are really us as a community bringing our best dishes, what we're thinking about, how we're feeling about certain things, to challenge, inspire, motivate, transform our experience of what it is to work, communicate with people, create our projects, fulfill on our personal visions. One of the most attractive parts of, I think, BeCollaboration is the opportunity to be exposed to things you may never have been exposed to before. Now, one way you could listen today is from all your opinions and your thoughts, and I've heard that, I don't like that, I do like that, or I've done something. And I think that's kind of the ego checking in and going, you know, and I'm like that, I know it all. You can't tell me anything. I really have to park that and go, right, what's new here? What's Scott going to say today that's going to be new for me? Because if I just listen to him from all the times I've heard him speak, I'm just going to get more of the same, or I'm going to get agreement, or I'm going to get some kind of or variation on my past understanding of who Scott is, what his information is. So it takes something to extract value. So I would assert that your sitting here isn't just us delivering as a community to each other, it's how you create value in that experience. You're not passive here, you're active. If you're listening like you know it all already, that crappy listening is going to rob you of everything that's being shared. Now, some of it you will be familiar, you've heard it before. We're smart people, there's the internet, TED Talks, yes? What are you going to tell me I don't already know? Well, that's not the point, is it? But what about what am I going to share as my best dish at the picnic? So let me tell you, Mark, about my dish. See that chicken in there, mate? That's not only chicken, that's organic chicken, and the sauce is this, and you kind of, that's quite lovely. I like that. And I think a way of being in a BeCollaboration meeting is a very special space that we strive for, to hit that sweet spot. You kind of getting me? You feeling me, Paul? You feel what I'm saying? It's not just information transfer. That would be the booby prize. It's how does it touch you? How does it impact you? How does it make you walk away from here going, wow, that was, wow. That's what I'm committed to here. And the genius slot was always about sharing the latest woo-woo thinking. Woo-woo, out of the thing, fringe, experimental stuff. I'm not presenting this like, I want to impress you. I'm sharing this because this is what I'm thinking about. Now, Chris, if I put you in the genius slot, or Andrew at some stage, hopefully, what would you share from the heart? From not tried, tested and proved elsewhere and you come in and giving us that. That's the known be known. I'm talking about what would be a risk for you to share. What would make you go, God, I don't know if I can get that right, I might get it wrong. Someone will challenge me and I won't know what to say. Share that stuff. And that's magical. That's what the genius slot is about. Can you feel it, Paul? Can you feel it? It's a different energy, isn't it?
You feel your excitement.
Yeah. But you're not excited. And that's what I want to engage us in an exciting conversation that says, well, who are we going to be in relationship to our world, our projects, our aspirations, and Jill said earlier on, our dreams. Well, if we're not discussing genius, cutting-edge stuff, then what are we doing? Repeating the same old, same old. Who's here has been to a meeting, you've heard everything a million times before? Hello, I'm no, we're not doing that. No one's even swapped a card with you. So, on that note, the genius slot is the space of engaging ourselves in our genius, because it will take a genius to engage with this. Not just watching telly. You getting what? Phil, you getting it? Okay, alright, cool, I'll carry on then. So, I've been engaging with spiral dynamics for about 5-6 years now, and it's been an integral part of background information that's influenced and informed how we've developed BeCollaboration to this day. It's something we're revisiting more forwardly, and I've shared this before in Be Inspired, I've shared spiral dynamics in Genius Slots previously, but we really want to bring spiral dynamics as a concept to the fore that people can engage with, go away, find out more about it. So the work was done by Claire Graves back in the 50s, 60s and 70s, and then taken on by Don Beck. Around about, I think after Claire Graves died, he kind of took it on. So you can look them up, their work's out there. And the spiral kind of starts to think about levels of consciousness and how we as a human species has evolved. And it starts to identify different levels of consciousness within our societies and the way we be within those. And those consciousnesses are shaping us. Part of what I talk about in Being Inspired is how our money system is shaping us, how our education has shaped us, how the media is constantly driving fear and scarcity and competition into us. That's got to have an impact. That's got to have an influence. It's got to manifest in some ways. I would assert it manifests in public health, happiness, fulfillment. I think the damage our current paradigms are doing are incredible. I would say that. And what I started to see when I started to look at the spiral was to start to understand the different levels, how people are operating within them, and different communities and different stages in our lives. So the first part is intuitive and survivalistic. It's like kind of being a baby or a junkie. It's kind of very much survival. How do we survive? In fact, I've got a handout which I do pass out as well. Would you mind passing these out for me? Can I grab one as well? Has anyone here heard of spiral dynamics? Yeah? Okay, cool. So survivalistic, it's very intuitive, instinctive I should say. It's all about the basic survival requirements. The next level, in terms of the spiral, is kind of animistic, rites, rituals, taboos, kind of tribes. How we interact, how we went from individual survival to starting to work out that actually if we got together in small tribes, we could survive and we'd thrive that way. And there's a whole load of kind of superstition, and we don't dance today, there's no rain, all that kind of stuff. Next level is red, very egocentric. A lot of teenagers are in red. You know, they want to do their own thing, they want to be king of their own world, they want to break away from conformity. A lot of organisations and gangs kind of work in that way. It's impulsive, it lives for now. There's that kind of level. This next level is really interesting. I don't know who's been around. So the blue level is very disciplined, it's moral, it's kind of religious. There's a lot of righteousness in it, kind of Victorian values. Suffer now and benefit later. Do you need something?
That's on top of glasses, there we go.
Okay. There's a watch here. No, I won't help you. So authoritarian. It's kind of authoritarian. It's going back to discipline, old school values and Victorian values and all that kind of myth. You know, please add to this, Andrew, if you think I'm going off it. The next one is orange. Orange is kind of, it's how, you know, commercial, corporate. You know, how do we feel about the way the world's been taken over by corporations now, and our banking structures and our big companies and TP, you know, who knows about TTIP and TPP and all those kind of, the way our whole global resources are getting, it's about consumerism, it's about keeping up, it's about success. You know, it's all that kind of stuff. Then we kind of got to a and from what I understand is that the way the paradigms go, you kind of outgrow one, it starts to break down and a new one takes over. Like the old one doesn't, the old paradigms don't serve, and then the new ones start to evolve and they emerge. Because the old one, going back to the imaginal cells and the caterpillar and the butterfly, it's like there's a breakdown of the current system and new systems take over and they become more complex. The green kind of takes us into understanding that actually we're more egalitarian, we've got to get together, save the planet. I suppose your hippie movements are in green, that emerging kind of, we're all one, we're all in it together. The other thing about green, it can become quite, I heard this the other day about it, narcissistic, believe it or not. Can become quite narcissistic, and we're all self-obsessed. We're all self-obsessed, and we're kind of, you know, and the way the spiral goes, as far as I understand it, is it goes me, we. There's kind of this individualistic relationship to the world, and then there's a group one. Me, when you, and I think there's a book called Pendulum that Jill used to talk about, it's how it goes from me to we over 20, 30 year periods. Now, all of this is first tier. From the beginning, I always thought of us as a non-first tier organisation. From 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I always thought we're not first tier. We're not operating from these levels, but we're actually thinking on higher levels. And I always thought we were yellow, until 6 weeks ago. You stirred me up.
I keep doing that, don't I?
You did. You stirred me up, and I started to think about, well, the way second tier starts to work. The second tier is a leap forward. It's a leap forward in consciousness and connection. Also, the leap forward also has a good understanding of the other tiers. In the second tier, you kind of look at and you start looking at and engaging with the other tiers and where they're at. You know, so if you go into a big corporation, you start talking about, hey guys, we should all take care of each other, all one. They probably think you're mental, they're called the mental police and have you taken out. And I know that's changing in some organisations. So, a little while ago, Andrew Horder started to remind me of turquoise, and I always thought turquoise was too far away. Too far away, and yellow is still a me meme. It's a me meme, do you know what means? Unit of culture, unit of behaviour, unit of understanding. And I thought to myself, we were thinking about ourselves in yellow, and then we start to think about ourselves as turquoise and self-organising, self-emerging, self-affirming. Here we've got collective individualism. You know, in our strapline, we've got, you know, inspiring collective action. In Be Inspired, we talk about the individual and its relationship to the macro, and how we have to be working, thinking about the macro influences, because otherwise, if we're working from our sense of personal survival, then we're all basically marching to the beat of the way the system works, everyone out for themselves, looking after themselves. And I feel that we're in a situation where we actually, people sitting in this room, probably thinking about, well, how do I make a difference, take care of my family, do things I've never done before, and create opportunities that right now are beyond me. What kind of community would that look like? You know, and I've been really engaged in this holistic turquoise layer for the last 6 weeks in a way that I couldn't get it out of my mind. I don't have all the answers. I don't think anybody does. But that's a journey we're starting to engage our community in terms of how do we do projects in a we way, in a holistic way that takes care of the individual and inspires the collective. How do we do that? What are the challenges with that? What would it be like if we was actually engaging in a project, a client engagement on that way? How would that show up? Those are the kind of things I've been thinking about. So there's collective individualism, cosmic spiritual, earth changes. The thing that struck me, and I'm sharing here, I'm not trying to convince you, I'm not going to buy any of this, right? But what struck me about being engaged in this for the last 6 or 7 weeks at a level that I hadn't been for a while, was these are all kind of part of a cause, or there's an outcome or a purpose. Save the planet, be successful, do what's right, don't avoid the domination area, do what you want to do, survive through being of others and just pure intuitive survival. And this holistic earth view of teal is not a cause, it's actually, it's the very survival of the human species. If we don't make it across this, into this, I personally think we are in very serious trouble. And if we don't wake up as a species and look around us, rather than just think about how do I get my next dollar, how do I get my next money, how do I pay my bills and pay off all this made up debt, all this, you know, if you look at the money supply, it's like 1970 and it's gone like that. And we're so conditioned by the orange layer, so conditioned that we're missing what's really important. That's why the Be Inspired program is so important. Is if we're operating from our genius, in our vision and mission, it says we solve the unsolvable. Not just how do you make a living, how do you survive, but how do we survive? How do we impact the human experience? That's what I've been thinking about. Well, Jill, I'll speak for you. I didn't set up BeCollaboration so you could just get some more business. It was how could we be the very best human beings, or the very height of who we are? How do we unlock what's already in us, out? What we were talking about earlier on about your son, Phil. That's the level we've been engaging with collaborators. You know? And that unity, that collective action, I think, pointed in the right places, going back to what Ian said about how can we make a difference. We're making a difference. On many levels we're making a difference. This conversation isn't just for you sitting in your chair. My conversation, my intention is it goes through you into somewhere else. It's like that's a conduit into the next layer of where this impacts. And I don't know what I'm talking about. How can you do that? How can you not know what you're talking about, stand in the unknown and create something that we don't even know what it will create? That's, for me, my understanding of holistic teal. From the beginning, people have been saying to me, Jordan, how are you going to do it? How are you going to get everyone to collaborate? How can you trust people? How do you know they can do good work? How are you going to make quality? What are those questions? Where are they coming from? Here. Where's the structure? Where's the process? Where's the system? I'm like, I don't know, I just want to create it intuitively. I want to create it intuitively, instinctually, authentically connected with other human beings and make things happen that I could never have achieved on my own. I don't know how to do that. Do you know how to do that? Sometimes I feel like I do. Sometimes it goes into a mess. Sometimes it becomes almost out-of-body experience. And we've had those as well, right? We've created something, you've invented something, it's made it happen, and it happened in a way that's almost magical. You almost can't explain it. Am I leaving anyone behind, or everyone behind? I don't know. But I'm not holding back my passion for this. I'm not trying to appease you. I'm not trying to make you happy. I'm not trying to make you go, oh wow, Erkan's great, BeCollaboration's brilliant, let's join. I don't really, that's not what we're doing. What we're doing is, as a collective organisation, we come together in a way that's almost spontaneous to solve problems, create opportunities and deliver value in a way that you can't write a script for. And there's something about the left brain just wants to know, how are you going to do that then? Left brain kicking in, how are you going to do that? What's the process for that? Don't know. This is the last portion of a video that Don Beck is in and kind of gets to yellow and green. I just wanted to share it with you because it's kind of really tipped me over something.
Hopefully.
Oh, right,
Hopefully we'll start roughly the right point.
Do I just click it from here?
Yeah.
Thanks guys.
Can you check the edge?
Is it not on?
Yeah, turned it off a little after.
Is the speaker on? Yeah. Oh god, I lost it again. Where's my pointer gone?
For this?
No.
Left a bit, right a bit.
So where we're at now, you know, is as a global culture now. I mean, basically we're all interconnected, and we can see that, you know, the complexity and the tremendous, you know, conflict and environmental degradation. I mean, there's so many problems that the human race is confronted with that it's clear that we need, you know, a next order, a higher order of thinking and understanding, and spiral dynamics proposes that it's the theory itself which can be a very helpful tool in actually creating, the next move, the next leap, as they say, to a higher level of thinking and perceiving.
And now the great leap into second tier. I'm convinced, after being where I've been over the last few years, I'm convinced it's now possible, it's seriously now possible, to provide the kinds of answers so many people are now searching for, and do so in a practical, caring, reality-based, on-the-ground manner. For that to occur, then, we have to combine the thinking modalities in these two memes. What occurs in the first 6 systems are steady states. What occurs in the second tier systems in yellow is flow. Flow meaning one is not taught one single spiritual message and outcome. One is taught transformational spirituality, realizing that each plateau is reached is a prelude to the next and to the next in this never-ending quest of ours. So yellow integrates and flows. Express self is a warm color system, but never at the expense of others or the earth, so that all life, not just my life, may continue in the most natural, fitting ways. Now one expresses self in this area, not like red expression of self, not like orange expression of self, but a different and yellow expression of individuality. So now the holistic mesh, the 8th code, second tier. Sacrifice interests of self, see that in turquoise? And others as necessary. Why? So as to reach balance and harmony among humans, the planet, and generations to come. Why? For the survival of life itself. Not for a cause, not for an ism, not for a belief, but for life itself. So we have in yellow life flow, and we have in turquoise life preservation. And the two fit together. And the key in second tier is the meshwork of the individual and the collective, where it ends the war between them, because it facilitates the movement between them on the part of individual groupings. So rather than a static model of who influences whom to do what, this kind of yellow turquoise entity is able to form task force teams where people quickly join into, assume roles necessary, and then when the task is over, they disband. So you become part not of a single community with assigned roles, but part of a flexible flow based upon tasks to be performed. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? So I wish for you an integral commons and a holistic meshworks. You say, fine, give us the rule book and the guidebook for these kind of communities. I say, go write it yourself.
That was like an epiphany for me when I heard that. Go write it yourself. This is the guy that's been 20, 30 years spiral dynamics, talking about these levels of consciousness. Go write it ourselves. And I'm like, that's me, I'm done. I could do that. We can. we can write it ourselves. We can emerge it. The differences you're making, Stuart, and contribution is adding up. Jerry, your listening, your presence, the things you're producing out of your life is adding up. We're all having a unified individual experience. And I've been struggling to connect community as a whole with individual. Kind of the whole thing kind of meshed when I was away. It just kind of just dropped for me. So, we think of traditional teams as like somebody's got to be in charge and write the rule book and tell everyone how to do it, and project manager, team leader. And recently we've kind of gone a little bit into that road. We started going down that road as an organisation. We got kind of caught up in that a little bit. But what we really want to start bringing to the fore is this sense of service, servant leader, facilitator, self-organising. Like see how the magic can come together. What innovations, what breakthroughs can we create in a synergy as opposed to an orchestration. Like you've got to do it like that, you've got to do that, you've got to do that. Is actually what would happen if we... It feels chaotic, it feels scary. That's what I'm noticing. But magic, I think there'll be magical experiences coming out of that. So I'm about to finish off by quoting Buckminster Fuller. And Buckminster Fuller said, my vision is to make the world work for 100% of humanity in the shortest possible time through spontaneous cooperation without ecological offence or the disadvantage of anyone. And that's really what I wanted to share with you today. That is what I've been thinking about for the last year, since you made me kind of get back into teal, is how do we do that? And we are as good as anyone in this room of creating that and delivering that. And that's what I believe. And I think the more we connect to our authentic self, our sense of genius, our sense of purpose, abundance, and communicate and challenge and talk and play and get serious, maybe walk out of the room, come back and go, I'm sorry, let's try again. You know, the more we will evolve that experience. And I wanted that to be something I shared with you today in terms of my genius spot. So if you've got any questions, please fire away. Otherwise, thank you very much. Any questions?
Any questions for Erkan?
So I've come across spiral in different domains, different, you know, different contexts, the same thing, but you know, different conversations. And you look at turquoise and you think, when it's communicated in mass media, that something's along that line. Like you could argue the David Icke stuff, when he talks about stuff, it's around there, and people look at it and they can't, the current way of thinking, they can't comprehend that. It's easy then to mock it and to say, dismiss it, and you just carry on down the blue and the red, because that's just because then I can just do what I need to do. You blink it. As long as I can get my money, I can have my couple of holidays and my family's alright. I'm being kind, my family's alright, kids are alright. It's not my problem. The stuff, the rest of it. And then when you get in this like community, in the entrepreneur world, in the PD, you want to change the world. Yeah, you want to change the world. No, you don't. You want to be rich, and along the way, if you change a little bit, great. And that sincerity is not there.
That's why I see a lot of this entrepreneurial revolution bullshit, if I'm honest. Is this on video? No?
Yeah.
This entrepreneurial revolution bullshit is total bullshit. It's another way of surviving within the orange paradigm, as far as I'm concerned. Creating more products to sell more crap and pull more resources out of the planet and create a consumer infinite growth model. Infinite growth model is bullshit. It's bankrupt, it's finished. That's what I'm saying. Now you can agree, disagree, argue, but that's what I'm saying. And in the genius, I have a right to say that. Okay? and I believe it, because I know it's not going to fulfill anything. It's not going to. We have to create different structures that like going back to the Buckminster Fuller. You know, because if we keep putting stuff out of the ground and making stuff and putting stuff back in the ground, and that need to want more and more and more it's bankrupt. The infinite growth model is bankrupt. It was bankrupt in the 70s, a long time ago, probably before that.
Yeah, I think one thing to be wary of is what Frontback said about how it's not a hierarchy.
No.
Yeah, every level of thinking has got its place in a particular environment, and it's the environment that makes that level of thinking become inadequate, and therefore it needs to progress to the next one, and evolve to the next one.
And I think what I've picked up as well the last few months, a couple of months, is that actually if you're pushing people into the next level and they're not ready, that's kind of can cause big problems as well.
And even worse if you're trying to jump levels.
Yeah.
One of the things that he says very clearly is that if you try to take a culture that's thinking at a level and jump them, you know, when you wanted to move from orange straight to turquoise or straight to teal, you create more harm than good, because orange, a culture that's at orange and is just being challenged by the limitations of orange can't jump straight to teal without going through the intervening steps. You can accelerate it, but you can't.
I think that's what he's saying, but what I don't think Don Beck and Claire that work has actually worked out yet is the transformational element of it. I think they're talking emerging, developing cultures as opposed to breakthrough culture, and that's something I will say for another day. But when you experience breakthrough leap, breakthrough is a bit like going from one part of space to another, not linear, but actually turn up there because you left here and you ended up there.
And I think
those kind of thinkings are not discussed very often.
I agree, and I'd say individual transformation, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean.
Societal and cultural transformation,
Probably a bit slower.
little bit more.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, I meant personal transformation.
Yeah, personal. Yes, I think you can easily jump.
And I think that is something that we've been engaging with in terms of the experience that collaborators are engaging with, is this sense of personal transformation, where suddenly we do have a worldwide view, we have a personal view, we create projects, opportunities at a new level of integrity or passion or authenticity that enables us to deliver things we never would have delivered on our own. So my message is actually when we're operating from that higher sense of purpose, from an abundance mindset, a love and a connection mindset, we can do things that in the normal paradigm we say, well, how are we going to change the banks? How are we going to change TPP? Did you send me an email the other day? TPP's been rejected as Europe.
It's pretty much dead.
The Germans have said it's dead, but the biggest fear is that
we Brexit and then take it on.
Especially if you listen to the people in charge at the moment, they're all for the next one, and that will be even worse because.
Sorry, I'm lost here. What are you talking about?
Transatlantic Trade Partnership, which is in effect a free trade agreement that America was trying to do with the EU, and it's likely to be America with.
Basically, it's the lowest common denominator. Whatever's worst on this side of the water or the other side of the water, that's what we'll get.
The problem is it is put together by vested interests because there is no perceived expertise. So the people who are facilitating it call on interested parties to contribute.
Yes.
And in secret, right?
In secret.
There is neither free nor will it.
It's free and it's not open. So, for example, and I don't know if anybody saw any of this, so I can't tell you if it's true or not, but the theory was we would have to take American chickens that had been washed by dipping in chlorine, which is banned in the EU, and
there's all sorts of. This sounds like a good conversation for the pub.
This is one of it. I just want to say thank you for listening to me. I'm usually more fun than this, but I feel very passionate about this. If you want to add or contribute or ask any questions, in 15, I suppose someone will take everyone over to the pub and we'll meet there.
I thought that was you being fun.
Huh?
I thought that was you being fun.
Namaste, everyone. Thank you.
That's got me thinking.